Brother Bob, you want to close us out tonight?
Okay, and I want to invite Renee up. Renee Felton. I don't know if she'll say anything.
Lady Renee, please come up.
I don't know if she'll say anything, but maybe she will, but I want to have her up here to offer her support as part of my presentation. The New Jersey Decarceration Act that we are fighting for is a legislative effort. It offers short-term relief for a few, and it does not solve the problem of mass incarceration. The only thing that will solve that problem will be systemic change. We cannot be revolutionaries, though, that only promise the long-term solutions and not some at some undisclosed future date. It sounds too much like a pipe dream. We need to come up with short-term solutions to issues of mass incarceration, joblessness, inadequate housing, overpriced and substandard food, rising energy and water costs. If we want masses of people to be part of our revolution, to replace the system which needs to occur, in order for mass incarceration to be eliminated, we need to bring about short-term changes, and that's why we need to fight for the Decarceration Act, New Jersey Decarceration Act.
Right.
So we know the system is rotten to the core, but we need to join the struggle for the New Jersey Decarceration Act, and we need to make it clear to legislators that those who represent communities that are most directly targeted by mass incarceration, over-policing, over-prosecution, and over-sentencing, that they better be the first to bring these measures forward and to push through the New Jersey Decarceration Act. A key strategy of our organization is to introduce this concept to the political leadership. The problem with the political class that wants to continue to herd us to election polls every November is everyone says that there are too many prisoners. We spend too much on prisons. We have too many nonviolent prisoners. Yet, where are the robust proposals for reduction? They're not forthcoming from the political class. They're forthcoming from us, and they need to get on board, and we need to make sure they get on board. We have put a proposal forward, and it is spelled out in that newspaper, New Jersey Decarcerator. The whole proposed amendment that the proposed act that we are offering. It is no doubt flawed, imperfect, will need changes, but it's a legitimate proposal and needs to be acted upon. We will continue to push the Decarceration Act, and thus far we have focused on Senator Ron Rice, not to single him out, but because his constituents are strong for this and are among those in the state that are most targeted by mass incarceration. However, our plan is to reach out to more representatives in the Senate and the Assembly, and hopefully Senator Rice or another representative will soon step out and be bold enough to put it out to the floor. In support of our Decarceration Act effort, we have promoted an online petition, and so far over 1,100 have signed. And today is the first day we have introduced the petition in a old-fashioned, face-to-face written version, which folks have signed today. And if you haven't signed it yet, please do sign. And circulating that petition gives us an opportunity to raise this question and to stimulate conversation out in the street. The next part of our strategy is to take the public street forum like what we are having today. And we had a smaller such forum recently in New Brunswick. And we hope to find committees around the state and other targeted communities to host similar events such as this. Is Gary Frazier still here? We hope to be down to Camden. Anyone from, is the Patterson gentleman still here? Renee Felton's from Jersey City. We want to do these types of events all over. We want to do it again in Newark. We want to do it bigger. We want to do it out in the communities. It doesn't always have to be on these steps. But part of our strategy is to have these kind of street forums. They don't always have to be in the street, but they have to be accessible to the street. They have to be, if they're inside, they have to be in buildings that are accessible to the folks who live in the cities. Too many of these kinds of forums take place in university that have no trespassing policies so that the city cannot go to the events without risking arrest. So They don't always enforce those policies, but there's an intimidation effect of the community coming to events on the campus. So therefore, that's the idea of the street forum. We hope to have 20, 30 of these all over the state. And it doesn't always have to be a big thing. It could be a meeting in a library. It could be a film showing. It could be going to the already existing meetings with speakers. It could be going out to classrooms, to campus invitations. But we need to get out there, and we all need to consider ourselves spokespersons. Read the book, get up on it. Not only that book, but other books. Get up on the issue so that you feel confident that you can take this message somewhere. Don't just wait for the so-called leaders. It's not up to them, it's up to everybody. So the street forum is an important part of our strategy. Another part of our strategy is the New Jersey Decarcerator, first issue on the table. There's 2,000 here, we printed 6,000. I want to invite each of you to, I know most of you got your copies already, but take some with you. But only take as many as you're going to give out. The biggest nightmare is they go into waste or getting recycled. So take them and get them out. In your neighborhood, in your classroom, at your church, at your organization. I'm hoping that all 2,000 of them go today. So take some with you, please. We got about 300 out already today. The paper goes over a lot of the strategies we're talking about. It has articles about the situation with the gentleman who's got the court case over Solidarity. It's got an article by Reverend Johnson about solitary in New Jersey. It's got an article about the endemic racism and violence at East Bay, at Bayside Prison. Lots of other important information in there. An article about by a former corrections official about what he saw with dehumanization, Milton Conway. Lots of good stuff in there, and you don't have to agree with it, and it would be hard to because there's contradictory stuff in there. There's different opinions in there. It's not like it's all just one, and there's some critical stuff, even criticizing our own work. Another important aspect of our work, what I'd like to see us do, I'd like to see our Committee to Decarcerate the Garden State and all of our decarceration organizations to form justice subcommittees. And what that means is that we be a clearinghouse, a place where those who see themselves as victims of injustice by frame-ups, by over-sentencing, over-prosecution, or even if they weren't over-prosecuted, but they ended up in the system and then they get abused in the system, that we're there to support. And one such family is Renee Felton. Now, Renee from Jersey City, her son was shot in the head by a police officer, and for the crime of not dying, he has been sentenced to 16 years in prison. And this is happening more and more, where victims of violence are being prosecuted as a means of covering up the crime that the police have committed. And we need to have, our Decarceration Committee cannot hold water if we cannot at least offer support. We also need to offer support to political prisoners, those who are serving time for acting to defend the community, for acting to liberate their community, for acting to challenge the policies of this government and of the wealthy and the multinational corporations. If we cannot support political prisoners, we cannot be a decarceration committee that can hold its own. So we need to include that in our justice work. We need to be a kind of place where, for example, Renee Felton was very distraught today. Her son's recently been remanded to a prison way down 2 hours away in South Jersey, so it's like a $40 round trip for her. She's tried to get on the list to visit her own son, and she's been told by her son that she's not approved. Her son, shot, blinded for life, sentenced to 16 years, her first attempt to visit, and she's not approved to visit her own son. We need to demand justice. Our committee we need to find out who do we need to call, and not only in this case, we need to be the kind of thing where when we need to put pressure on this warden or that official or whoever, or we need to get to court in Elizabeth or whatever we need to do to support folks, we need to be able to do it. Another important aspect of our work is reflection. Ciasia has talked about the new Jim Crow. We have started a study group. We got 10 copies of the book. We haven't started having meetings around that yet, but we will. We will set up some online discussions as well, but we'll have some face-to-face. We're also going to get some films. We have some films and talks, etc. And the purpose is we need more than a gut reaction. We need more than in our gut we know it's wrong. We need to be armed with the facts, the figures, to be able to make the arguments, whether it be on the street, whether it be to our friends, or to a public official. We need to be able to hold our own, so we need to be fully informed. We have a whole host of resources. That are online. The paper will connect you to it. The first place to go is to the website decarceratenj.org. Can we repeat that? Decarceratenj.org. Let me hear you say that. Go there. Contact us. Finally, we don't have all the answers. We're only getting started. We have come this far. We have made this issue. We've established this issue. We have a very interactive program. We've had meetings almost every week. We don't always stay on topic of our agenda, but we have made a lot of decisions and we have accomplished a lot already. Become part of the committee to decarcerate the Garden State. Either as individuals, as organizations. We're just getting started. So if you're from another town, you got connections to another town, you want to bring us there, contact us. You have an idea, contact us. You want to organize a meeting, you want to organize a film showing, or you see we did something wrong today, or ever, contact us. Let us know. If you're a family member and you have an issue that you need us to try to rally some people to call up a warden and flood him with phone calls and say, let Renee visit her son. Let him have some good food. Heed the demands of these prisoners that are striking, or whatever it may be. Contact us and let us be part of it. We need to figure this out. And we need to be able to develop a stronger, more effective movement so that when we say to the warden of that prison that Renee needs to be able to visit her son, that they listen. Right now, they're going to ignore us. But we need to be massive, effective, and when we are, we will be able to get these kinds of problems solved. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.